the horror. So, I hear you're a horror fan. Best Nightmare on Elm Street film. The original. You damn right it is. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Gershon. This week we are doing another movie review. This is Scream 6. Yes, came out in 2023. And I'm fresh out of the theater, guys, so I can't wait to give you my thoughts on the film. And this will be my spoiler-free review. So expect all the gory details, pun intended, in my spoiler-filled review, which will be coming next. So yes, Scream 6 was directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. And the film stars Melissa Barrera returning as Sam Carpenter, Jenna Ortega returning as Tara Carpenter. Yes, the sisters from Scream 5. And we also have Hayden Panettiere returning as Kirby from Scream 4. So it's great to see her back in the franchise. We also have Courtney Cox, of course, returning as Gale Weathers. The only one in the cast remaining from the original Scream film from 1996. As we all know, Neve Campbell did not return as Sidney Prescott for this film. They couldn't come to an agreement on the financial aspects, so it remains to be seen. It's up in the air whether or not she'll return in the future. But unfortunately, she is not in this film. But they do address her absence, and I think they do it in a very kind of respectful way, and they kind of leave it open for her to possibly return. So we'll see what happens. So what happens in the film is Sam and Tara move to New York City to attend Blackmore University. And that's one of the things I love about this film is the setting in New York City. That's something different. That's something cool, you know. Didn't quite work for Jason. Maybe it'll work for Ghostface. Who knows? But yeah, there's some great scenes, you know, with New York in the backdrop, you know. We see a scene takes place on the subway, and we see a convenience store in the city. We see a little the back alleyway of the city, you know. See the high-rise apartment buildings, and Sam and Tara live in one of the high-rise buildings while they're attending college. They're with Mindy and Chad, also returning from Scream 5, and they call them the Core 4. I thought that was kind of cute. The Core 4. So one thing I gotta say is they are definitely building Sam up to be the next Sidney, in case Sidney doesn't return, you know. And I feel like the franchise is in good hands, you know, with her, because she has a great performance here. Her and Jenna Ortega are really good, you know. And you really get invested in their characters this time around, big time. And that's great, because maybe we can send the franchise in a completely new direction using them as the forefront, you know. And they do here. The film centers around them, you know. And that's great. They do a fantastic job. Also, Courtney Cox is great. Hayden Panettiere is great. Most of the main cast is good. Some of the other side characters are a little bit weak, you know. And let me just point out some of the scenes I really enjoyed. And this film has several really great set pieces and really great, powerful scenes with great suspense and tension. And one of them was the opening that really kind of throws you off. It throws you for a loop. It's great. It's something really different and refreshing to see in the Scream franchise. It wasn't the typical, you know, like the original with Drew Barrymore there. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but they just really, like, pull the rug out from under you. You know, you think certain way and then something else happens, like, oh no, it's not that. You know, and it's really cool. I really liked how they did that. Gotta say, I love how they mentioned Dario Argento in this film. They mentioned giallos. One of the things that's cool is we see one of the teachers is having a class about slashers, you know, and one of the students is writing an essay about slasher films, and one of them is writing an essay about giallo films he mentions, and I'm like, nice. That's great stuff. And I have to say, as far as the humor goes, it doesn't quite hit the mark. There's a few funny parts, but nothing like the original or the first couple movies. There's one scene in particular with Mindy where she's doing the Randy thing, you know, explaining the rules, and, you know, it's kind of felt forced, I feel like, you know. But she does kind of redeem herself in a scene that I did enjoy with Kirby's character. So Kirby, played by Hayden Panettiere, is also a big horror buff. Shows she goes like, you know, I hear you're a horror fan. They start going like, you know, what's the best Friday the 13th? Part 2, no, it's the final chapter. Or what's the best Nightmare on Elm Street film? What's the best, you know? And it's really fun. It's a real fun scene, and that's great for the horror fan in me, you know, to see that kind of thing. And you can tell they were, you know, had great chemistry in that scene. We also get Dermot Mulroney in the film as the detective trying to catch the Ghostface killer, you know, who's running loose in New York City, toting a shotgun, you know, and taking out people in the local convenience store, attacking people from the dark alleys, popping out at you, you know. And I have to say that my favorite scene, personally, is the scene in the subway. That is great. I love that. I think that's one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. The tension, the lighting, you know, like when they're on the subway and certain parts where they're when they're going through a tunnel and it gets dark in the subway car, and Ghostface is like slowly coming towards someone, you know. Each time they go through a tunnel. I love the lighting in that scene is great, and the tension is outstanding. Plus the fact that there's a few different Ghostface, because it's Halloween time as well during this film. It's Halloween time and people are dressed up like Ghostface and Michael Myers and Pinhead and Jason and all that stuff. And that's just great. I love it. I love the tension in that scene, so that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole franchise right there. So that was worth the price of admission alone. And that's the thing about this film. It's a little bit uneven, but there's some great scenes filled with suspense and tension. That's something we don't always get in the Scream franchises. Tension, you know. And I feel it had some of the best suspenseful scenes in this film. And there's another scene where they're up in the high-rise building, and and one of them is trying to escape Ghostface, and the guy that lives across in the next building over, he puts out a ladder so the girl can try to escape, you know. And it's like, whoa, they're way high up there, you know. It's pretty intense. And Ghostface on the other side trying to, you know, knock them off, you know. Great stuff. However, the film is not perfect. There are a few scenes where I was like, ugh. Especially the final act, which, you know, I've heard a lot of people say they were disappointed with the reveal of the killer and the final act. It was a little weak. And I'll have to agree with them because, yeah, it is one of the weaker Ghostface reveals in the franchise, and it is one of the weaker final acts. So yeah, things start to go downhill once you get towards the end of the film. I'd say up until then, it's real solid, and it fits right in line with the other Scream films. But yeah, it kind of falls off the rails in that final act because it's a little bit corny, I hate to say it. There's some little bit campiness there at the end with the acting especially, and I was like, oh, come on, this is just getting like Scooby-Doo now. You might as well just pull the mask off and say, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you kids. Like, that's how bad it is. But everything up to then is really solid. Some of the humor misses here and there, and a couple of the side characters are really, like, generic. There's one character that straight up reminds me of Corey from Halloween Ends. I'm like, why'd they put Corey in here? These are one of the things I didn't like about Halloween Ends. Oh, man. I wonder if they did that on purpose. They put in a Corey type character. Like, no! But yeah, lots of great classic horror references throughout the film. You see all kinds of posters on the wall, and they talk about all kinds of different horror films. But I love when they mention Dario Argento and stuff. I thought that was so cool. Talking about Italian horror now. Yeah, let's really get into it. So yeah. Overall, though, it is a solid entry in the Scream franchise, and that's great to see. And it's great to see that they're kind of moving away from the legacy characters. They're still paying respect to what came before, especially in this film, because we see that the killer apparently is obsessed with, like, you know, the legacy of Scream, basically, you know. I won't get into the details of that, but that's kind of the basic gist of it. So yeah, you do get a lot of homage to some of the other Scream films here. So you still get that, but they are seeming like they want to kind of start going off on their own direction, which is good. And that's refreshing to see. You know, we want to see it move forward and do some different things creatively. Like that opening was very, very creative. That was very different. And that scene in the subway is just fantastic. So that's the kind of stuff I want to see going forward. So, yeah, there's definitely a bright future, and I feel like Scream is in good hands going forward. So definitely check it out, guys. I do recommend it. And I'm not sure where I would rank this in the franchise. I have to really think about that. But again, once again, another solid entry in the Scream franchise. So definitely check it out. I give it 2 devil horns up. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared. Folks, don't forget to grab your Sean Patrick Urshan gear and represent the Horror Corner. Also, check out these awesome mugs we have. Perfect for your coffee. And definitely check out the Horror Hangout live stream t-shirt and represent the legacy of the Horror Hangout. Check out the link in the description below this video.